Knudsen,
What's up, Tursky?
this is Two Guys Talking Golf.
That's right, man. And you know what? Today's episode brought to you by Fujikura and the Velo Core technology and the new Axiom iron shafts. So if you haven't checked them out yet, Velo Core technology that made Ventus the #1 shaft on tour and Fuji's best-selling shaft for the past 3 years, well, that technology was in drivers, fairways, hybrids, and utilities. Now it's available in your irons. So Axiom iron shafts, the first composite iron shaft to feature Velo Core technology, the ultimate stability, consistency, and feel. It will transform what you traditionally thought of an iron shaft, what an iron shaft is capable of, and you need to try them. So find a dealer near you to schedule a fitting for Axiom iron shafts at fujikuragolf.com/Axiom.
I'll give you like a 6.2 out of 10 on that read.
6.2 out of 10. I thought it was a little better than that.
Just a slight slip up there in the middle.
You know.
All right, Knudsen, you know those weeks where it's kind of just dead, not a lot of content, not a lot of switches. This was not one of those weeks.
the PGA Championship, you mean a major was not that way?
We had a little something everything going on. Greg popped off with like 35 what's in the bag. So if you love looking at what's in the bag photos, get in those forums because Greg went crazy. I filled a few in here and there, but it's the most I've ever seen him do.
Dude, if you're not a fan of what's in the bags, go in there. Like go to golf3brx.com. Go. I think the front page has a link to it. Go into the photos. One, be amazed at how many what's in the bags, and then two, just start going through them because there's some stuff in there that will absolutely blow your mind. Like some of the gear from some names of guys that you probably haven't seen what's in the bags for in a while or whatever. I mean, everybody's in there, and there is some wild, pretty cool equipment floating around in the what's in the bags this week. Just phenomenal job you guys did.
Yeah, so we got top PGA Tour players, the LIV guys. We got what's in the bags for basically all of them. And then club pros, It's the PGA Championship, so there's a lot of just PGA section members, professionals that got into the event. And they always have really unique setups, because they're not out with the trucks every week. And some of them are on staff with companies, but not all of them. So you have really eclectic setups with clubs from all different years, just, unique equipment everywhere. And then you got some old timers. I dove into Y.E. Yang's What's in the Bag, the Hybrid King. We saw Phil's bag, Bryson's bag, DJ. I talked to Dufner. I talked to not Dufner. Sorry, I talked to Jay Day.
Well,
we are going to talk about Jay Day, but not him the person. We're going to talk about a sculpture of Jason Dufner. We got custom gear from all the companies and Oak Hill. Oak Hill to me is just one of those major championship venues. Like as soon as you step on the ground, it's big. The clubhouse is big. The facility's amazing. The course is unbelievably intimidating. The fairways are so much tighter than they even look on TV. Like it's hard when I stand on a tee box, it's hard for me to even imagine like playing the hole and catching the line right. Like that first hole. Yeah. I don't know. It looks like the landing spot that they're hitting at is so awkward because the angle is kind of running away from them and the ball just scoots to the right. Then you're in the rough and you can't get it out of the rough. I love Oak Hill. I know, there's always some fear mongering about the course, how it's like unplayable, unfair. I don't think this is unplayable and unfair. It's not like the rough is 12 inches and you literally can't find the ball. It's actually only 3-4 inches high, but it's so dense and the grass is so like wide and so healthy that the ball settles down and you can't get more than like a 6 or 7 iron through it. Even a 6 is pushing it. And I was talking to some of the TrackMan guys because they go out and follow certain players here and there, and they have all that data from shots they're hitting out of the rough because, during practice rounds, they're trying to test their limits out. How far can I actually advance the ball with a 4-iron, with a hybrid, with a 3-wood? They're trying everything. Guys were testing 9-woods. seven woods, just like pushing the limit of how far they can advance the ball. And really the conclusion was like 8-iron. You know, even with the 8-iron, spin rates were dropping below 3,000. Just on normal lies, on normal shots where they're actually trying to attack a pin, the spin rates are dropping so low because guys are having an impossible time getting underneath the ball. And then as soon as the grass catches hold of it, it's just shutting that face down. So it's coming out really low, screaming hot, no spin, can't control it. And then like around the greens, the runoffs are so severe, and they either run off into the rough or a really tight line in the fairway, and then you're pitching upwards, 25 feet. So it's like, am I going to Texas wedge it up there? This is a tough putt, and you can't really flop it off some of these lies. So just seeing how these guys navigate, and they're so good at chipping. That's always kind of my major takeaway when I really watch guys practice out on the course. I don't always go out on the course for practice rounds, but it was a major. I liked the course, so I liked walking it. So I'm seeing all these guys kind of go through their short game practice round routines, and it's like 2 feet, 3 feet, 8 feet on shots that, I'm hoping not to chunk and have the ball come right back down to my feet. So, it's just a tough setup. It's just a really difficult golf course. Probably one of the most difficult major venues. Obviously, you have Oakmont, always up there. Wingfoot, always up there. But I put this kind of in a class up there. I am a little biased. I'm an East Coast guy. It is a New York golf course. It was also the first major championship I ever went to was at Oak Hill in 2003. When Sean McKeel won. I wasn't there on Sunday, but so yeah, I'm a little biased when it comes to Oak Hill. I love the track, but it seems like a lot of players do too. What's kind of your feel on what people are saying about Oak Hill, whether it's fans or just what you've seen from the players? Because I haven't seen too much like actual legitimate coverage.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've heard has been positive. I mean, you're not getting like you said, this is unplayable, this is, unfair, you can't play this. And you're not hearing those rumblings like you do at, some of the majors, especially the U.S. Open style, U.S. Opens. So I think this is just one of those things where I'm with you. Unfortunately, today was kind of a busy day in the office and I didn't get to sit around and watch much, unfortunately. I did I turned it on for like a hot second, and it was like an ESPN with what's his name?
Van Pelt?
Michael
Collins.
What's that? No, Michael Collins and whoever else that he was with, and it was not watchable, and I turned it off.
It wasn't watchable because the announcer
was terrible. They were not great at analyzing the game.
Wow.
Or it was not. It was.
What
not
do you
great.
think they would say about two guys talking golf?
Well, remember when we first started Two Guys Talking Golf and we tried to do the Masters on the par 3 day?
We're not live analysts.
You know how hard it is to talk about live golf as it's being played? You have to study up and have knowledge on every single player, every single hole. You better have knowledge about the shots. And it just didn't seem like they had that. Like, you listen to Colton Ost and you're like, dude, this guy, like, talking about the shot, getting into the detail, all that stuff. You're like, wow, like, this guy knows the game.
He's so good at what
and not that these guys don't know he's absolutely amazing. I hope he gets a full-time job. I've said that for a while now. But these guys, like, they didn't know really what to talk about with the shots. They knew the players, but they didn't know, like, the little personal details. It was just like trying to be specific without having specific information. And it was tough.
I do like Michael Collins.
But like I said,
I think he used to be
so do I. I think he's
a tour caddy, and he also used to be a stand-up comic, I think. I don't want to misspeak on his resume. Sorry, Michael, if you're listening, I got it wrong. But he is a really legitimately funny guy. He knows his stuff. He's good at interviewing. So that does surprise me to hear.
He's a hilarious guy.
But, if you're a little unprepared,
I just think,
you can get exposed on the live coverage really bad.
Whew. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a different animal than the style of content he creates, and the stuff that he creates is, I really enjoy. Like you said, he's very entertaining. He's very funny, and I love watching some of his stuff. This one it's just the live stuff was not their forte.
Well, That's unfortunate.
And I'm not saying I could do it, because I couldn't. Like, you and I tried that one day. It was brutal.
Never again.
So it's not easy, and I'm just saying it was not amazing. But no, like I said, I haven't been able to kind of dig my nose deep into it, but I haven't heard any of the negative rumblings that you sometimes hear with some of the tougher, harder courses and some of the setups.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful old style, upstate New York track. I love that kind of golf. If it's not for you, I don't understand you, but okay. we agree to disagree. Just to kind of set the scene at Oak Hill early in the week, it was cold. It was really cold.
Yeah.
Like 38 degrees Wednesday morning. Now, Jason Day was coming off a win. So, things are a little bit weird, but he elected not to play a practice round at all. And he's never seen the course. It was that cold. It was like bone chilling cold. And if you're kind of injury prone, a little exhausted, not quite feeling it, the pollen or whatever it is around there, it's like tree dust or something. I don't know. They were saying it was something, but it's bad. I know Rory's going through it, a little bit exhausted. My allergies were kicking really bad. Everyone was kind of talking about, how bad their allergies were. I know that's like the most first world problem of all time, but when it's a major week, you got 4 rounds back to back to back, you might not be sleeping well. Like, that does kind of add a little bit into it. So I would say guys who don't have allergies are going to be at the advantage. But I think the weather report's supposed to warm up, so I don't think the cold's going to be as much of a factor, but frost delay for the first round.
Yeah. Yeah, and allergies, it's just one of those things where, at least, I have really bad allergies. I take allergy pills like every day just as part of kind of my routine in the morning. And just like Claritin or whatever. But there's days when they're really bad and you'll be out golfing and it's just like the pressure in your head, all that, it just takes your focus away. And for those guys, they're laser dialed in, they're focused, they're standing over a shot, they have the routine, and anything that gets in that way can throw you off a little bit. And, my allergies, I know, not that it can probably affect my play that much, it's that poor, but, for those guys, it makes a big difference, and it can take that focus or that edge you have. It could, just dull it a little bit.
Yep. Energy and eyesight, that's where allergies come into play. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe medication, but Allegra D, that's the hookup.
Yeah. I've done Allegra, I've done Zyrtec, I've done Claritin. You name it, I've pretty much tried it.
All right. So we're going to try to go somewhat quick here just because of the volume of topics that we have. So let's try to keep it tight and quick. We'll start the gear off with the custom company staff bags, head covers, that kind of stuff. We had Scotty Cameron, Bettinardi, TaylorMade, Callaway, and Cobra. Cobra got involved as well.
Yeah.
So who would you say won this battle this week? I hate turning it into a battle, but someone's got to have the coolest one.
I know, and honestly, I'll give the bag to Callaway. I think the tartan kind of on there was really cool. I think Cobra's a close second. The bricks, and I didn't realize the brick significant until I don't know what I saw, but it was something about the clubhouse. Everything's red brick over there, which is kind of cool. So I'll give second place to Cobra on that. But I think the tartan head cover or the tartan bag that Callaway was just really cool. Head covers, I kind of give to TaylorMade. I love the simple, just little leaf on there, white with the blue leaf. I thought that was really cool. I didn't really get Callaway's head cover. It's okay, but it's just, I don't know. It didn't stand out. It wasn't as kind of something I'd want on my bag like the TaylorMade one. So in terms of bags, I give it to Callaway. Head covers, in terms of wood head covers, I give it to TaylorMade. And then in putters, honestly, I love the Bettinardi, but there's something about the Ping one that's just really cool.
Ping too.
The way they did the acorn and the camo or the leaves as camo and all that. The Ping did a really cool job with that. And usually Ping is not somebody you'd think of a big head cover type company. They did a great job.
I think they're starting to get into it more the last couple of years. They had a kind of floral, and they had a Hawaii one too, I believe.
Yep, I think they did. Yeah, Hawaiian shirt looking type deal. Yeah,
I did like Bettinardi's putter cover.
So did I.
I'll say that they probably won the battle of putter covers with Scotty Cameron. I thought the Scotty Cameron one was pretty cool with the green and white striped, inspired by the awning, like the clubhouse awnings. So I thought that was pretty creative, but Bettinardi's was just like way cooler to me. You know, I'm a sucker for the cartoon
acorn
character and the acorn.
Yeah.
But I thought Cobra won the staff bag sneaky. When I first saw Ricky's bag, I was like, oh, it's just like his orange staff bag. Then I got up a little bit closer to it, and I was like, oh, they went brick and ivy. And then the inside lining of the pockets was really cool with some pattern in there. So I got to give the win to Cobra on the custom gear, sneaky. They don't always get involved.
No, they don't. And you know, like you said, it was kind of subtle. Like all of a sudden you're like, and at first I was kind of like bricks, like, huh? Like what's the brick? And then I don't know what tied it in, but something that I saw on TV or whatever drew it in. I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, that's so cool. So they did a good job.
All right. So before we get into like super PGA Championship stuff, I did talk to Jason Day. So he obviously snapped a 5-year winless drought.
2018.
And he just won last week at the AT&T Byron Nelson. So we had talked about Jay Day a couple times this year because he's been switching into these custom Scotties. He started with the chrome version. It's the F5.5, kind of a rounded mallet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's is it F5.5 or 6.5, something like that. Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, he's got some custom type builds. So he started with the chrome the very end of 2022. Then he switched to the black one at the American Express. And then he switched to a different black one like 3 weeks later. And this whole time, he's putting really well. I think he was like 10th or 11th in strokes gained as of earlier this week. So it's not like he was struggling putting or anything. But after the Masters, he finished T39, T38, something like that at the Masters. Then he had an off week and he was back home. He ended up picking back up the Black Spider, the Itsy Bitsy that he won 5 times with back in 2015 or 2016, 2015. He won 5 times with it in 2015.
Yeah,
and it had kind of been shelved for like 2-3 years, and he just said it was in a bag in his barn. His barn is, it's not like,
barn is very loose.
It's not a barn where like goats are in and pigs and stuff.
No, it is
it's a beautiful like golf facility that he has in the backyard. State of the art,
insane,
state of the art for sure up in Ohio. But so he was just kind of messing around with the Black Spider, and he was like, I was talking to him in the interview. He was saying when he picked the putter back up, it was like a scene in a movie where the character picks up a sword and the guy's like, perfect balance. He's like, that's exactly how I felt. He was like, that's kind of what I've been searching for the last, 4, 5, 6 months. Searching for that feel, and it just sits right to me. He's really sensitive to a putter that looks like it's pointed left of the target. So anything that's anywhere near actual square looks left to him. So he wants something that sits a little more open, and the Spider does that for him. So he misses the cut at the Wells Fargo. He was like, I was just getting really technical. I was just getting too far in my head with technical thoughts on the greens and everywhere else too. So he said right before the AT&T Byron Nelson, he was like, screw it. I'm just going to go play. I'm going to go hit shots, have some fun. And with the Spider back in the bag, he goes out and wins. So awesome for Jason Day, man. He's been through like ups and downs, health-wise, ups and downs. Chipping, ups and downs just with his game, with his putting, with his putter, with his life. You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of been on that roller coaster. And to ultimately get that win, he was so happy. And every single player, every rep was coming up to him, giving him hugs and daps. He's like the nicest, the nicest guy ever. So you can't help but pull for him.
I feel like that putter though, like it looks too good to have won that many tournaments.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like
was it refurbished?
The sole is. Yeah, maybe they repainted it for him or something like that. Because you would think there'd be some wear on the sole somewhere, just from touching the turf that many times, from him putting and practicing and all that. It looks like there's no wear on the insert. There's no chips, dings, and it looks like a brand new putter. I wonder if they did like give it a sand and a repaint after right before he shelved it or something like that, because it to have that many wins and that much tour use, it's hard to think that it wouldn't have some type of wear.
So that's why I really wanted to talk to him to figure out, like, was it a fresh one? Is it the same exact one? And everything he said implied that it was the same exact one. He shelved it, got it back from the barn, took it back out, got the winning feelings back. Here's what I think. I think he has 2 or 3 Black Spider itsy bitsies in his barn. Yeah. And he thought that he went back to the original one, but he actually went back to one of his backups. That's what I think, because the sole plate's not even the same. It says Rasa.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice that? I think it's a different putter.
But you're honestly.
Right. I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's a different putter too, because there is no wear and tear on it. And no offense to TaylorMade, but I don't think they're known for having like the most durable paint through the years, and he had that in play for so long.
Yeah, no, that's what. I was trying to go back to like the 2015 photos, but we don't really have a close up of the putter. Unfortunately, it's a spider, but it's just not. We don't have a good close up photo that we can really see. Like sole plate versus sole plate.
If you zoom in on some of the Getty images, you can see that the sole plate is a little bit different, in my opinion, though. In my opinion, I'm not causing any ruckus. No conspiracy theories. Who am I to say that he's misinformed?
Jason Day's wrong about his own putter.
Like, it could have just been they swapped the sole out and repainted it. That could be the case too. That it's like the same structure of a putter, or it's a backup. Or maybe we're just both wrong and that was the actual putter. But either way, he won using that putter.
Yeah,
so, congratulations to him. Round of applause. He had just like kind of a slow start this week. He didn't show up until like afternoon on Tuesday and kind of just practiced a little bit. Signed some autographs, said what's up to people. I don't think he was like feeling great. He was probably tired.
Well,
winning takes a lot out of you. The excitement, all the interviews, the pictures, the attention, you're not getting a lot of sleep. And then the travel, getting to Rochester isn't easy. And then you show up and it's like the wind's whipping and it's a lot colder than it was in Texas. And the course is difficult. So interesting tactic by him not going with the practice round. We'll see how it works out,
Yeah. But, like you said, the amount of energy and mentally and physically that it takes to win versus, come and say 10th place or something like that is totally different. He's grinding over every shot to win. And the guy who's in, I don't want to say he's, the 10th place. I'm not saying that he wants to give away shots, but, if you're T10, you're T10. And, if it's, you miss a putt here, whatever, like, it's not like losing. You've already lost in a sense. You're not first. And so I think, mentally, like you said, the media obligations and, sponsor obligations, all that stuff after a win, to do phone interviews even and all that stuff. It's, we've been fortunate enough to do a lot of phone interviews with people who won tournaments, and you can tell, like, those guys are beat. Like, they're very nice and they give their time, and whether it's, paid for or not, whatever, but they're always nice to you. They're always cordial, all that. But you can just tell in their face that they're like, man, this guy is beat. Like, he would love a week to just relax and, chill out and then get back at the next
Exactly.
tournament.
We've been part of this a million times. You're kind of just put into a car wash of all these interviews. So it's like 10 minutes with this outlet, 10 minutes with this outlet, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then they have sponsors. So it's like when their player gets a win, the sponsor wants something from them. So then it's maybe 15 minutes with them or even an hour with them. Maybe his golf ball sponsor wants an hour of the podcast, and then this company wants this. His watch sponsor wants something. Winning is just, I'm not going to feel bad for people that win a PGA Tour event and pocket, 1.4 mil in one day. But I can see why he didn't play a practice round. And he's not the only one, I don't think. There were a couple guys who kind of just came and practiced maybe 9 holes, but didn't even play a full 18 before the event. So just a unique week to see how guys went about navigating the cold, the wind, like with wind too. And caddies are sensitive to this. If, say, on Tuesday, it's a completely opposite wind than they're expecting come Thursday, they might not want to even touch the course because it's changing everything. It's changing your club selections, your landing areas, your aim points, and it kind of like gets in your head almost. So yeah, everyone had a slightly different tactic there. I did want to touch on this Jason Dufner plaque real quick.
Oh.
So they have like a little wall of fame where they have a bunch of plaques of, past PGA champions, senior PGA champions, whatever big tournaments they've hosted in the past. They take a headshot and they make like a bronze plaque out of it. Jason Dufner's rendition is just a little rough looking. And as soon as Justin Thomas saw it, he went right up to it, immediate selfie. And as he walks away, I was standing right there watching this go down. As he walks away, he's like, man, they did Duff dirty. And then we posted it on our Golf 3X Instagram account. Just ended up going viral, popping off. People either clowning on Dufner or just realizing that it was just a bad art job, kind of.
It was rough. I mean, and Dufner back then was he's not like the perfect, proper, buttoned up type guy, whatever. Like, he is not the cover of GQ type guy. He's not Adam Scott, Justin Thomas, and some of these guys who dress.
Unless
he's
GQ
a little bit
cool with guys throwing skull dips in the cheek.
And when he won, he had like the big kind of curly, bushy hair and all that stuff. Or I don't know if it was curly, but he had the bushy hair sticking out and all that. And man, yeah, they took it to a new level. Like, somebody sent me a picture of that with no context and just said, "Who is this?" or something. I think they cut off like his name, and I was like, I don't know who that is. Like, I have no idea who that is, and I couldn't figure it out. And then they were like, "That's Dufner, the plaque, with Dufner." I was like, "Oh God, that's horrible." It's so bad.
They had him with the smallest
his face looks nothing like
ever,
him.
too. Little chip.
The face looks nothing like it looks nothing like his face, and then the hair is just like Sideshow Bob, like on The Simpsons. It's horrible.
I just wanted to briefly touch on that. I don't really have anything to say about it, but definitely check out at GolfWRX on Instagram. It's funny. It's worth it, and just go through the comments because they're absolutely hilarious. Who were the people they were comparing them to? It's like some old timer.
Yeah, it was like, I can't remember who it was, but it was like this woman golfer who was famous for a while. I mean, everybody was trying to basically say like, "Who is this?" Wrong answers only, and there were a ton of rough answers on that. Poor Duff, man, he doesn't deserve that.
All right, so moving on to some current equipment. A lot of guys definitely testing hybrids, higher lofted fairways. We've seen this trend of higher lofted fairways already come to fruition. Tommy Fleetwood, Max Homa. I'm going to miss a million of them, but there's a ton of guys who already have kind of switched over into either 5 woods who weren't playing them before, or if they were already playing 5 wood, adding a 7 wood. And especially at a course like this where the rough is so thick and you're worried about advancing the ball, a 7 wood or a hybrid can definitely get the ball farther than a 4-iron, just because you can't create the lift and you can't create the spin with a 4-iron. It's going to end up coming out like a putter, and it's not even going to get over the blades of grass. So they were definitely testing out, 9 woods, 7 woods, hybrids. I think Fitzpatrick changed into a hybrid this week. I know Jordan Spieth asked for a TSR1 hybrid.
Oh, wow.
Cam Smith was testing a TSR1 fairway wood, and there were a couple of club pros that switched into TSR1 fairway woods. Yeah, just to kind of deal with the rough, to kind of get the weight and the club head back a little bit more and get some more launch on it. Pretty interesting, though. You never really see too much TSR1 out on tour, but when you get a week like this, I was talking to JJ Van Weesenbeek, the Titleist tour rep who works with all the players on their metalwood needs and irons as well. But he was saying that, guys want that emergency club to where it's like, you're on a par 5, you really need to advance it, but the ball's sitting down. Let's see if we can get a club on it and get it running, at least, instead of kind of just duffing a 5-iron out or accepting your fate and hitting the pitching wedge or 9-iron, because that kind of hurts, when you're 320 out in the rough and you got, a 9-iron in your hand. You're looking at a long approach shot in. So it was kind of just interesting to see all the guys testing and asking for different builds. So there was definitely some action early in the week. And then, when they got out on the course, they're throwing balls in the rough and trying to hit the shots. Some of the guys were feeling like 9 and 7 woods were actually sliding under the ball a little bit too much.
Oh, wow.
So they were kind of opting for hybrids, like the Fitzpatrick move. So, just a little trend there. It did look like guys were maybe going to switch into higher lofted lob wedges, like 62, 64, and change up the bounces a bunch just because the bunkers are so deep, the greens are so elevated. But I don't think it ended up being that, like, a slew of guys changed or anything like that. I know Webb Simpson went into a M grind, but other than that, not too many wedge switch-ups, more just like fresh wedges. Like they do for every major. So those were kind of the trends that I saw out there.
I like it.
All right. So we got a really up-close look at Taylor Montgomery's Ghost Spider S white putter.
Yep.
You're laughing. Why? Why are you laughing so much there, Dust? Did you see the video?
I did see the rotation of the putter online and the in-hand kind of video of it. And it is, it looks like that putter that your buddy who bought this TaylorMade Spider when it first came out, walked out of the, whatever store he bought it from, threw the head cover in the trash, threw it in his bag, and has been playing with it since. It looks like that. It is like it fell off the cart a few times. It skidded down the cart path. It's just, a young niece or nephew used it as a baseball bat, and it has so many paint chips and dings and all that in it. The whole sole, like most of the paint and the graphics are just worn right off. It's just a well-loved putter, and it has seen some use. It has got some stories to tell.
So Taylor Montgomery went to college at UNLV. He's 28 years old, and he's had this putter mostly in the bag the whole time, since he was 18 years old, I guess. He's switched here and there, brief stints with other putters, but this is like his putter. And when he got to the PGA Tour, he's mostly used this putter. Like all the success has come with this specific putter. Now, as we kind of talked about before, especially the white paint is going to chip off this style putter. There's a lot of surface area where the white paint is covering, so it tends to chip. Now, instead of just taking it to the TaylorMade tour truck or taking it to like a local club builder, he repaints it himself. Now,
does he?
It does look like he repaints it himself. But I went up to him and I asked him about it. I knew he was playing this putter because he actually tested a Scotty Cameron mallet in Charlotte at the Wells Fargo, and I was like, that's weird, because Taylor Montgomery in 2023, like this season, he's leading overall putting average. He's leading one putt percentage. He's leading 4 different like major putting categories, and then he's 3rd in strokes gained putting. So I was like, he's playing this putter for 10 years. He's leading the tour in putting. He's obviously putting lights out.
Yeah.
Like, is really now the time to change your 10-year-old putter? So I was just kind of taken aback by that. He ended up not changing it. Like, I think he only hit, a few putts with it and considered it for 0.5 seconds and kind of just something that he's keeping as a backup. He is still using the putter. And then after the Wells Fargo, he said he repainted it again because there were some chips that he wanted to cover up. But his thing is he doesn't care how the paint on the body looks. All he cares about is the top line that's perpendicular, and then the top line that's parallel, that's right up against the face. He just wants those to be pristine, that T shape that's on the crown of that Ghost Spider S.
Yep.
So he really focuses on getting that clean, and then the rest of it, like, he doesn't even strip off. He doesn't strip off the old paint. He just spray paints right over the top. He said he puts blue painter's tape on the face so that he doesn't get like the pure old black Serlin insert, covered in paint. So he puts painter's tape on it, and then he just spray paints
sloppily
the rest of the head white himself. Absolutely unreal. I was not expecting that.
Ugh.
Not expecting that at all.
I mean, you would expect that from your buddy who, owned that putter and it's, never had the head cover on it. But for a guy like that, it's just funny that just, spray paint it after every couple rounds or something like that. And if you look at the face, like, yes, he's put painter's tape on it, but like, he doesn't put it on great. There's some spots you can definitely tell where like some white paint leaked onto the face and all that. It's very chunky. The paint is very chunky and sloppily done. It's just one of those putters that, I mean, even the shaft, it would look like it was a black shaft. It's just beat up and pitted out. Like none of the black is left on it.
Start over.
It's tough, man. And I get it. You have a putter that you love. I mean, there's, you played a putter for how long that you loved and did. Yeah, I mean, I've got putters that are older that I could pull out and putt great with them, so I get it. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, lead tape's one thing, but just pulling off the old rattle can, taking care of the putter is just another.
So there is kind of a reason that he sticks with that putter. He has a backup that's identical, that's fresh. It looks way better than that one. But he plays this putter because I guess the loft is a little bit lower and something about the way the sole sits on the ground. Now, I noticed when I was taking the video that you saw, we have it up on Golf to X Instagram. If you're curious what this putter looks like, head over there. When I was looking down at it from address, because I always like to get a shot from address to see what the putter actually looks like, I was like, that's weird. Is my angle off? Like, I can't see the face at all. So it's only between 1 and 1.5 degrees, the face, which is a lot lower lofted than most putters. Usually it's like between 3 and 4 degrees. So 1 degree is pretty low for a putter, but the weight is so far back and it's so perimeter weighted that it tends to get the launch of the golf ball like too high. So it's lower lofted, and then for whatever reason, that sole sits perfect for him. The other one doesn't sit as clean. So he just keeps rocking with this paint chipped one and spray paints it, and off he goes.
Yeah, and some of those pure rolls too, like the way the ball comes off the face with such little skid and backspin, that even those were like a regular player, even so that's not fully weighted back, a lot of players when they get into those putters get fit for something about a degree lower than. Because I know when I went and got fit for one of them a while ago, I put it up against like a milled putter, and I went from 4 degrees down to like 2 or 3. Like they knocked a few degrees off to get it to just the launch and spin and skid.
I think that is something to keep in mind. Just for we talk about experimenting and tinkering and fitting on the show all the time. That's definitely like an underrated part of the putter, the loft. You don't really think about what's the loft of my putter. Does it match with the CG, or did I make a change to the grip and shaft? Do I need to readjust? It's just something to keep in mind. That's why it's always good to get on something like Quintic to actually measure what's going on and see what the issue is. Like if your ball is skidding, it could be a couple different things. It could be you're launching it too high or you're launching it too low. And it's kind of hard to tell the difference because it happens so quickly. So shout out Taylor Montgomery's putter. I love it so much. Man. You can find these on eBay for like $64. They're between
probably in better shape than his.
I said I wrote a little story about it, and I was like, no offense to Taylor, but the ones listed in fair condition on the third-party website I was looking at, I think they're better than yours, bud. So I mean, if you want to give the putter a try, you can get one that's probably in better shape than his for about $68 plus $5.99 in shipping. Too funny. All right,
I'm good.
I got to get to Y.E. Yang. I wanted to look in his bag so bad because I was like, I know he's got something wild in there. and I caught him on the 9th hole. He was practice putting for a while, and I was just kind of hanging out with his caddy, Dirty Dan. Told him what we do, and I was like, I'd love to shoot a what's in the bag, see what he's got in there. He's like, have at it. And before I started diving in the bag, he's like, just be careful of the tubes. I was like, tubes?
He's got
plastic club tubes. And he's using a sandbag.
Yeah,
it's the greatest setup. The greatest setup of all time. So, just like kind of a brief reminder, I guess, for maybe the younger audience. I don't even know what age listens to the show, but Y Yang took down Tiger at the 2009 PGA Championship, Hazeltine, and he hit probably the most famous hybrid of all time. He hit a 21-degree tailor-made TP rescue. It was a 3 hybrid from the left fringe. He had a 1-stroke lead on Tiger. Tiger had never basically ever blown a final round lead, especially in a major. And then Y Yang comes up with a hybrid from like 220, stuffs it to 6 feet, game over. And that's it. Just dagger, Tiger's, he just caught his, caught his first Sunday loss in a major, and here Y Yang is holding up the Wanamaker trophy. So I was calling him the hybrid king, and he didn't disappoint this week. He had 2 in the bag at Hazeltine back in 2009. This week, he had 3 in the bag.
All right.
So he had a 3, a 4, and a 5 Ping G430 hybrid, each equipped, and I know you're going to get jacked up about this, with the graphite design Tour AD DI 115 hybrid SX Flex. Now, do you know anything about this shaft? Because I was kind of just reading what guys were saying in the comments and doing a little research on my own. Very rare shaft.
Yeah, they don't like, you can't buy one, like they don't, it's not in their current lineup right now. Like if you went to your local graphite design dealer and said, I want a 115 hybrid, 105 is as heavy as they make at the moment. I think they made 115 a while ago to the public. I think it was like years ago they made it to the public, but it may be tour only back then even. I felt like I saw it back, how many years ago. But the 115, and then the SX is basically kind of in between stiff and X. It's like a soft X, a stiff. And Graphic Design is one of the few companies that makes, I think, an RS for regular and stiff. They make one that's in between there, and then they make an SX. Not in everything, but they do make it in a handful of models, like especially popular stuff like the DI. But yeah, super rare because 1, they don't make the 115 anymore. It's tour issue only. And 2, the SX part, I don't think they even make SX in the regular 105 hybrid. I don't think you can get that either. I think it's either stiff or X.
I don't think in the North American markets you can get any SX Flex.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense because that's where a lot of people fall, is in between S and X. That's kind of like the most popular swing speed. So I do wish more shaft manufacturers made that. Now they kind of do. They just either label it S or X, and then you kind of have to figure out which end of the spectrum everything is on. I thought it was pretty cool having the tour issue in the hybrid shaft and for hybrid shafts.
Oh.
And Dirty Dan filled me in that just recently he actually took a hybrid out of the bag and put a 6-iron in. He used to have an even higher lofted 6 hybrid.
A 6 hybrid.
Yep. And then his longest iron in the bag was a 7.
Just so crazy to think about that at that level that somebody's playing that setup. But it doesn't matter. It's all about what do you hit really well, what launch conditions are right. It doesn't matter what tool gets the ball on the green. One of the tools just needs to get the ball on the green.
They're just tools.
And it doesn't matter if it's...
They're just tools.
Yeah,
they don't know
just
the
tools.
difference. They don't care about ego or pride or how you look. It's just weight, center of gravity. It's like science. But this week especially, it makes sense to have that many hybrids because, even guys with high swing speeds are switching into hybrids this week. So he kind of, camouflaged himself into the field. But we know the truth. We know he's the hybrid king. And then for the irons, he went with Ping I-230s. And then the wedges, He's still playing some old Titleist Vokies. One of the prototypes is from 2014, but he has Yanksta stamped on all the wedges.
I love it.
You just gotta love that.
It's awesome. Yanksta,
50 Cent's favorite wedge.
He's got the favorite.
What up, Yanksta?
And then he finishes it off with a German stainless steel Scotty Cameron
that
Timeless 2.
So sick.
Dude, all black with just a little bit of white. It's just super clean. Super clean.
And the club tubes. That was I just wanted to make sure we got the club tubes off, because that craziness. That's got to be the first time plastic club tubes have ever been in a major, right? When else would they have?
I mean, I bet they happened back in the day, because there was a huge thing. I remember when I was a kid going to the golf shop with my dad so he could buy
Those
tubes
were popular?
for his. Yeah, because when graphite first came out, everything would bang against the graphite shafts because some of the head covers were short or whatever, and everything in the bag would bang together, and the graphite was not that great back then, so it would chip and beat it up, and it would put a lot of wear on the graphite shafts. So guys would go and get tubes so nothing touched, and there was also the grips wouldn't rub together so they should last longer and all that stuff. But I remember going to the shop, and my dad bought 13 or 14 tubes to put in his bag.
Did you clown him?
Everything was organized. Not at the time, because it was like cool. It was like the thing. You went into the shop, they had these huge boxes just full of them.
I doubt that
guys were just buying them up. I mean, they were popular. Let's put it that way. They're popular.
Fair enough. All right, so we got about 15 minutes left here, Nuts. We have 4 extremely popular LIV player what's in the bags. I say we just go through them all real quick. I know you're probably fired up to talk about some of this stuff. So let's start with, we'll ease into it. We'll go with Brooks first, because he hasn't really made too many changes, but we did get a look at all of his clubs. So let's kind of go through Brooks's what's in the bag setup right now. Almost won the Masters.
Yeah. True.
No big deal.
True. No big deal. But, I mean, his bag, like you said, not a whole lot different than kind of, I think, what we kind of saw early in the year. And if you want me to jump into it, I like that he's got the Srixon ZX5 LS driver. So the low spin version of the ZX5. It's actually, I think, the lowest spinning of the 3 drivers that they make in terms of the ZX5, ZX7, ZX5 LS. His definitely has a little different marking on the hosel. I don't know exactly what that means, but it's probably some tour issue thing about, either his spec or, a conforming type thing or something like that.
Are you talking about the NOZ or whatever it says?
Yeah, the NOZ stuff, whatever, yeah. Because the retail ones don't have anything like that on the hosel. And then rocking a Diamante D Limited 70X.
Same shaft he used to play, right?
Or TX. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing with it forever. Low launch, low spin, and just a solid driver setup. Really low spin, and that is a sneaky good head. That ZX5 LS.
I hear great things. I hear nothing but great.
I've got one sitting right over there that I tossed a little bit of hot melt into to quiet it down. So I got.
I do have one, but the shaft is like stiff flex in it, so I haven't been able to give it like a proper go. But it looks great and it feels good too, and the sound is money. I just need a shaft to get that spin down.
Yep. Yeah. What do you want me to continue rocking with this one?
I don't know, just whatever pops out of you. But I mean, it looks like he's still playing the M2 Tour high launch version, 16.5 in fairway. Yep. The thing that most impresses me in his bag is the wear mark on his Scotty face. It's almost Tiger-esque how small, dimed out, and right in the center of the club face it is.
Yeah. For as much as people maybe knock players like Brooks who are not known as good putters or whatever, these guys are still really, really good putters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you took them out to anybody at your club or your course or whatever, I mean, the worst putter on tour is going to absolutely annihilate the best putter at your club or whatever. It's just, that's the way it is. But yeah, like you said, having that little wear mark right in that Terillium, right in the dead kind of high center right there is just such a power move to roll in and have that. And like I've said before, I am not a Scotty Tour guy like that. I'm not a collector of those putters, and they're not something that I like yearn for. But I would rock the Brooks Koepka putter because that thing is filthy, and it already has my initials on it.
You put those Terillium dots in the back cavity of anything, and I'm down to play it. Once I see those dots, man, it's over for me. Sheesh.
Yep. And then, of course, the legendary, absolutely legendary Nike Vaporfly Pro 3-iron with the Fujikura Pro 95i Tour Spec X shaft.
It's a tough week to have that in the bag, I will say.
Yeah,
because you can hit it off the tee for sure if you want. It's screaming probably a little bit too hot for how firm the fairways are. You can hit it into a par 5. Yeah. Are you going to be able to get the height to stop it? Maybe. I mean, the greens are big. You just want to make sure you put it on the green. But you're not hitting that thing out of the rough. If he does, then he's the strongest person of all time. But it's just straight up too low lofted to get the ball out of some of the lies. And, you know, clubs like that are what other players were taking out of their bag and opting for 5, 7, 9, or hybrid.
Yeah. And Brooks is a strong dude, so I mean he might be able to get that a little bit more out of the rough than some other guys.
Certainly more than me.
But it's still, like you said, more than me. I'd break a wrist.
Yeah. That stuff is no joke, man. Walking around in it, it's like tiring just walking in the rough. Just how thick and dense it is. Hitting a golf ball out of it's just got to be brutal.
Yeah. But yeah, just solid bag. I mean, if he finishes it up with some ZX7s and, and some Zipcore wedges, I mean, just a solid bag. Simple and solid.
Yep.
I love it.
Let's go to Dustin Johnson. I don't think he's changed too much, but to me, the bag is highlighted by his 24-degree 9-wood. I don't know if he's playing it necessarily, but it looks like, that's the setup that he was going to go with.
Yeah. I mean, the 9-wood is so funny for a guy like him that you think, with as much power and how strong he is and the style of play he hits, like, having a 9-wood, the guy hits it, he probably can hit it as high as he wants to with, just about any club in the bag. And the 9-wood has been there for a long time. I mean, I remember when he put it in, when Stealth first came out, he kind of put it in, and, it's been one of those things where we've kind of been shocked that it's still there, but still rocking it. And for me, it's the interesting thing that he went back to the Speeder Evo 661 in the driver, which is kind of his old go-to. I think it's like a Speeder Evo like 2.0 or something like that. He can't help himself. Was like,
you really can't.
Yeah, I mean, even though he's part of LA Golf and he's got LA Golf shafts in all his fairways, the driver, he always goes back to that Speeder Evo, like that 661. He just always does. So pretty interesting to see that back. And he's playing OG Stealth, not even playing the Stealth 2. OG Stealth, OG Stealth Plus driver.
I wonder if the LIV guys kind of struggle getting all the new product. They probably don't have the same access to fitters, so they can't test as much and get the heads dialed in, change the shafts as quick. So the process of upgrading into new equipment is probably a little bit more difficult for them out there. I know they have an equipment guy that travels to each of the events, but one guy for 48 guys, that's a big task. And just sourcing all the equipment in general from the OEMs to get out to the tour truck just has to be a difficult situation. So, seeing that these guys haven't necessarily upgraded into all new stuff or made a bunch of changes does not completely surprise me. Now, DJ does put the weight in his Stealth somewhat in the draw position, which is interesting to me. He always plays a cut, and that probably keeps him from overcutting it. He's not one of those guys that needs the face to be super open because he's releasing it so hard. He plays with a blocked off face and he plays that high cut. So he probably wants to get his starting line a little bit more left. So that's probably why he has that weight there. But yeah, it's funny. He went back to that speeder. He used to always do that.
He always does.
8 shafts a week, maybe play something new for 2 weeks, then go back to that. Then something new for a week, go back. Like he would do that with the putter all the time too. And he did, I don't even know if he actually tested it, but he got a Scotty Cameron. I don't know. Was it like a 1-of-1 type thing?
I felt like it was kind of based off the Phantom X. I thought it was kind of based on like either the was the Phantom X or one of the like Phantom series or mallets. I felt it was like not necessarily a 1-of-1, but it was based off one of the other ones. I feel like, but
I'm not looking at it right now. I think I don't recall, but I don't think he's going to play that.
I kind of feel like anyway.
It was. I think he's going to stick with, what does he have? The Spider GT. Yeah. Well, he won last week. I know most people probably didn't see it.
Don't know.
I'm not even making a joke. Like,
I honestly,
didn't. It wasn't.
I didn't.
On TV. There's that whole controversy that they just took it off air for some like syndicated shows. I think they ran up against the time limit or something. But yeah, he did win last week, so he's got a lot of momentum coming into this week. He probably feels great. Just got whatever $4 million or whatever those guys get for the win. So,
big money.
This course sets up very well for him too. He hits that pretty accurate high long tee ball, and he hits the cut, so he can kind of control it pretty well. And then the rest of his game is tight. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some low numbers out of him this week.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. It's always interesting to see when the LIV guys show up to these events, just like it was the Masters. Like, how are they going to play?
Yep.
Is it business as usual, like we saw from Brooks, and guy killed it for 3 rounds, or what is it like? So it'll be again interesting to see these guys, which we've seen so little of, to then come in and do they play well, or how do they adjust? It'll be definitely the more interesting to see those.
So I was at the Masters, but you can't really get on the putting green inside the ropes there. I was kind of just a normal patron. This week I was on the range, on the putting green, inside the ropes, walking around. It's almost hard to tell that there was even some huge LIV controversy. Like, the fans seemed really receptive of the Brysons, the Brookses, the DJs, even the Phils. New York has always kind of embraced Phil, and I was curious to see what the reaction was going to be. But he's getting normal applause. I love you, Phil. Sign my hat, sign my face. Getting the normal Phil treatment, and it just seems the players are kind of getting over it more and more. Like, the Masters was definitely a huge icebreaker, and the fact that a bunch of LIV guys just showed up, competed, nearly won it. I think that earned at least some respect from the fans and showed just everyone that it's like they're not completely irrelevant just because they play on a different tour and they're playing different golf courses than these other guys. They're still legitimate threats to contend, and they're also just like the same people that they were. Now, whether you like these guys before or not, like, if you didn't like them before, you're not gonna like them now. If you liked them before,
true.
At the end of the day, they're still the same people. So they're just golfers trying to improve. So in that way, it's not as weird as people would think it is, like inside the ropes, behind the scenes. Some of these guys are playing practice rounds together, and they're playing normal gambling games and having a blast. Now some guys, I won't like say any specific names, I suppose, but some guys who were more of outcasts out there anyway are still that way. They're not going up and hugging all the PGA Tour guys because they missed them so much or anything like that. Like, they weren't necessarily friends before. So, it's just a week like this had made me realize that not much has changed, even though everything has changed, in the scope of things.
True.
With money and court systems and the way, they get fried on social media, and the way that kind of media portrays who they are as people. You can say whatever you want about their decision. I'm just talking about them as golfers in relation to their fellow competitors in the PGA Championship. From my observation, not too much has changed. Just business as usual. They're all trying to figure out how to take down this impossibly difficult golf course.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 2 left. I suppose saving the most entertaining 2 for last. Let's go with Bryson DeChambeau. We got the full what's in the bag on him. Now, I'm assuming that the last time we shot his what's in the bag, he was still all cobra'd out. LA golf putter with pretty much the rest probably. Cobra, and then artisan wedges. All that's changed.
Yeah.
You want to take us through real quick? I don't have it pulled up just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you know, being a Cobra guy and having such specific Cobra clubs built for you. Now, no longer having any Cobra clubs, not just one nothing. Cobra club in the bag. Nothing.
How hard they worked and how much money they spent on all those prototypes. To not see any was a little bit surprising to me. I'm not gonna lie. But I understand. You know, he's no longer with them, so who knows how that relationship even ended.
Still rocking the TaylorMade Stealth 2. He moved over to kind of stealth, I think, immediately as soon as that Cobra deal, or right before, I think even before the Cobra deal technically ended. He had a stealth in play, rocking the old school Project X Hazardous T1100, which was not one of the most well-known Hazardous shafts unless you are a big hitter, and then you know what it is. It was the chrome ion plated with green letters. It ran, I think, I don't know if it was full length or a longer length of this Toray T1100 carbon graphite or carbon fiber in it. And that was where they got the T1100 name, which was a more expensive, stiffer graphite, all this stuff. And it ran a bunch of that. So he's playing that in I think a 75, not a TX, just a standard 6.5.
That is such a stiff shaft. You got to be careful with that thing. I know he brings speed, but it's a board. I tried to hit
that thing. I had a 65X 6.5 that I didn't realize what it was, and then I got it and I swung it, and I was like,
"You swung it twice."
God. Like, there's no. I was I mean, I think I hit like 10 balls with it, and I was like, "Yep, that's way too much." But that, and then he rocks into the TaylorMade Mini Burner or the Burner Mini Driver. 11.5, set a couple clicks lower, so he's running at probably about 10.5, if not a little less, with the matching Hazardous T1100.
He's used to playing really low lofted fairway woods. I think he's always kind of done this.
Exactly. I want to say his Cobra ones were super low launch. Like he had like a 10.5 or something like that, and back when he was with Cobra or something.
Just before you move on, just real quick, I just wanted to say, I thought it was interesting that he went to a TaylorMade driver, just because. The Stealth 2 has the twist face, and we know he was kind of either trying to advance the face structure or try to match the face structure to what he wanted. But I know that he always wants the ball to have a draw, and he wants it to draw the amount that he expects. So when he misses it out on the toe, you know, he expects it to go to a certain spot. So it's interesting that he ultimately determined that the twist face was doing the right job for him. Now, I don't know if he's complacent with that. You know, I'm sure that he's working behind the scenes to do something with a company. I don't know what company he's working with right now. But just interesting to see him go to a twist face after all that talk about the face, bulge and roll, and
you're right.
Know, there was a lot of talk.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. It was, well, or he just didn't like the geometry Cobra had, and he likes the geometry of it that TaylorMade has. And then like the elephant in the room, the irons are, you know, they're Ping I-230s. They're total custom jobs. They look from the backside, the badging, everything else looks all correct, like you wouldn't know. But when you look on the sole, and instead of having, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitch or wedge for them, instead of having that indented and paint filled, it's all laser etched.
Yeah.
Which means these things have something different going on. They have they did some work to get these heads the weight up, because in order to make a full length set work, every head has to basically weigh the exact same amount, because all the shafts are the same length. And it takes a lot to get that done, especially in a set of irons that was not designed that way. So it'd be really interesting to see, like, if they popped off those badges, what's under the hood.
I would love
what
to
is
see
it really
that.
like? But yeah, but they're definitely one-off pieces. You know, for him, still rocking his LA Golf graphite shafts, and then he rocks into some Glide 4.0 wedges. Most of them have a good amount of looks like custom grinding on them, and a lot of them have a lot of lead tape on them.
That 60 has 19 strips of lead tape on it.
Dude, it's
Lead Tape
so
Chronicles
heavy.
is going nuts.
So heavy. Oh, guy's just losing his mind. But super, I mean, and again, it's the same thing. It's like, you got to get all these heads to weigh the same. So lead tape, all that, just trying to get everything dialed in as best they can. And then, then he's, it's interesting because he has his putter, which was originally the brand Sick. And then I think Sick got bought out, by LA Golf. Yeah, by LA Golf. And now he's got a putter that just, it's definitely the Sick face when you look at it, or the Sick face that he had before, the groove face, but it has no markings, no brand name anywhere on it.
It's 100% an LA Golf putter, though, because you can kind of see through. I just zoomed in on it. You can kind of see through the 17 strips of lead tape in the back. You can see that it says LA Golf underneath with the indentations.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just barely. And then, 6 tungsten weights, 3 in each bumper to give him more weight up. And then the sole's got to go on a strip of lead tape. So that boy weighs
600 grams, bro.
So, maybe more. And then 180-gram LA Golf putter shaft in there. So that thing must weigh just 10 pounds.
I think he also changed the orientation of the grip. You know how he always used to put the flat side, like flat up against his forearm? I think he changed the orientation. I don't want to misspeak, but I think seeing him putt, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, but I mean, a very interesting bag just because I think it's very interesting because with single length, Cobra's the only one who's doing single length of the major OEMs. And no one else jumped on the bandwagon. No one else is, I guess, believing in that system. So when he decided to get away from the Cobra irons, I think everybody was kind of sitting there waiting to see, okay, who's going to make him a set? And it ended up being Ping. But I wonder how many other OEMs he either went to or he talked to, or, are there some prototype Callaways or TaylorMades laying around somewhere that he tried out? Because I think there's got to be a lot of engineering work to put in the time to all of a sudden design a set of single lengths when you never were making.
Do you remember what Ben Schulman
especially when you're making them for pricing?
Making all those prototypes. I mean, we know how long, how expensive, and just how much physical work it can take to weld all that stuff together, to come up with the engineering of it, to match. The lie angles that he plays are so much different just right there. So even making those work is a big feat of engineering. I have a feeling that Marty Jertson's somewhere behind this. He's the really smart Ping engineer over there. I'm not sure if he works in that wheelhouse anymore. I will try to track down some information from Ping on this just to figure out exactly how they built these and how much time it took and, what's so different about them. But definitely interesting to see him go with Ping, because he probably did. He probably did reach out to every single company. He probably had conversations. I'm sure some of them were like, nah, it's not worth it for us. That's way too much money. Maybe some of them tried and Bryson didn't like what they came up with, and maybe Ping won out. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but you can imagine that's probably how those conversations went.
If I'm a big OEM, I probably pass. I mean, unless you're going to sell them.
Yeah.
Because what happens? Bryson goes and wins, and Ping goes, wow, check it out. He won with I-230s. Well, he won with I-230 single lengths. You don't make those. So.
And they're 40 grams heavier.
And I know there's
available.
Yeah, and I know there's prototype gear all over the the tour that you can't necessarily buy, but the whole thing with him winning was then you can sell single length irons, and the only one who's going to benefit from that is Cobra still, because they're the ones who sell them.
I do think that worked. I think before he left, I'm sure you've talked to Cobra too. I think they were saying it was almost like a 50-50 split of irons that they were selling. I still kind of stand by that single length could be good for some people. I think kind of segmenting it a little bit where you don't go as short on the long irons, you don't go as long on the short irons, just because like launch tends to get really high with the pitching wedge and then really low with the 5-iron. So kind of doing a reduced kind of single length, like a tweener set. Yeah. I think it does make sense and simplifies the game for some people. I just don't know if we're ever going to get to a place where like every golfer uses single length irons.
I
just don't know if it makes sense for everyone, especially if you've been playing with variable length your whole life. It's definitely a different system, but cool to see an update on Bryson's clubs. I think a lot of us were trying to figure out what exactly he was playing while he was over there and what he did after he left Cobra and left the tour. So we finally got that answer. So that feels good. All right, let's wrap it up. We got one more what's in the bag. We're definitely over time. I knew that was going to happen, but we got to go through Lefty's bag. Phil Mickelson.
Yep.
We got the full what's in the bag. Let's pull it up and go through it.
Well, I know why you pulled it up, and we'll just go straight to the irons because they're Tursky specials, a la 2013.
My favorite irons ever. For real.
Favorite irons ever. You're basically going to have to pry them out of Tursky's cold, dead hands. But the 2013 Callaway X Forged, which was a legendary forged iron. And it's interesting to see him go back to it. I wonder if he just had this set laying around. Did he have to go to Callaway and see if they had some sets laying around their headquarters? What? Sure. But yeah, the 2013s, and just a great iron. If you never hit them, you kind of missed out. And if you ever run across a demo, whatever, definitely
they're
snag
nearly
a set.
perfect.
Or snag it.
Address like the head shape, the amount of offset, the size, the way the ball comes off the face, the grooves. They're just like the perfect iron. Now, these days, to me, they're a little bit too unforgiving. I'm not gonna lie. That's why they got out of the bag. They're just a little bit too unforgiving compared to some of the modern clubs that do have basically the same size and shape, but with more forgiveness. So ultimately, I opted for more. Yeah. Now, Phil hits the center of the face a lot more than me, so he could still get away with using this, and I probably would too if my game was in tip-top shape, because I do love the shape of these irons.
Yeah, no, they're good. I had a set too. I actually had mine raw, had them stripped. They were raw. They were just awesome.
I respect that a lot.
Yeah, and then Paradigm triple diamond driver. Nothing too crazy loft there. It does have 8.5 loft in lefty with an adapter with double green dots. I know that they make a green dot adapter for tour that was flat. I think, or no, that was the stronger adapter. So you could go -2 +1. It was the opposite of a retail. So instead of like retail adapters, you can go -1 degree down from whatever the loft of the head is, and you can go up 2 degrees. And they made a green dot adapter that you could go down 2, but only up 1.
And this is the 2 dot.
Different. And this is a 2 dot, so I'm not sure what the 2 dot is. And then I think they make a red dash, which is like a flatter, adapter. So it's a little more flat than standard. So I'm not sure what the double dot is. It's got to be something though, where it's either more upright, more flat, something like that. But a Paradigm triple diamond, and then another TaylorMade burner mini driver. But here's what I don't get though. Is like he is no longer he is technically on hold or on pause as a Callaway staffer. Like when everything first went down. So why did he go and color everything in black on the burner? Like, what does it matter? You're technically not like a Callaway staffer at the moment. So why did you have to go Sharpie the whole bottom of the club?
It's probably a whole contract thing. It's probably a whole thing. Who knows?
It's just weird to me.
Conversations that Callaway, Odyssey, and Phil have had. But when he switches into a TaylorMade wood or a Ping hybrid, which he did have in the bag, he tends to black it out and try to hide it, I guess. But it's like Greg Moore is going to find you. you can't hide it.
There's no. So 11.5 with the Ventus Black 6X. It's interesting that we've seen a lot of these mini drivers on tour, these burner mini drivers. Tommy Fleetwood, this one, a bunch of these guys aren't going super heavy with the shafts.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think in the WRX forums, everybody's talking about building a mini driver with like an 80-gram shaft and building it short and all that for this fairway finder. And these guys out here are playing basically the same weight shaft as in most of their drivers. Like Bryson's a 75, plays 75 in the driver. Phil's got 60 grams. Tommy Fleetwood played 60 gram. He played a TR Blue 60 gram. But a lot of these guys are not going crazy heavy in this burner mini. And I think they're trying to make it like a driver and hit it long and, hopefully find a little more accuracy with the, the smaller head, maybe slightly shorter shaft, but they're not going heavy, which is interesting because, a lot of us thought that's how we would build it.
Yeah, that just tells me that
it's just not sitting on
it tells me that at least the 11.5 degree head isn't ballooning. It's not spinning too much. It's not flying like way too high, or else they would do that. They would have way heavier, way stiffer, something super tipped. But yeah, we just have a Ventus Black 6X in there. It's nothing crazy at all.
Yeah.
So, and Phil is definitely a high ball hitter, and he is the type of guy that would go like super heavy, super stiff to offset that. I don't know. I still haven't hit it yet, so I'll let you know when I do.
It's good. And then the old Ping Answer Hybrid 17 degree. I remember when these came out, they were everybody wanted them. And then it was when Phil put one in, it was like, oh my gosh. There was a ton of pros who played Answer hybrids back in the day when this was
still
out.
do too.
Kuchar played one. Yeah, Kuchar had one for a long time, all that. But the Answer hybrid was really good with a Kurokage, a Mitsubishi Kurokage prototype 90X.
This is definitely the one he's played for a while because it's got all the wear marks right in the face. So it's got to be the one from back in the day.
Oh yeah. Sole's got, a lot of the black on the sole is all gone. It's just worn off and it's silver now. So, just a cool old club. And then, you get down to the wedges and what is in there? Ping I2 XG. My nemesis club. It made me
so happy to see that was in there. And the other, his 50 degree at least, it's absolutely caked in lead tape. I think he probably saw some Scott Piercy pictures and he was like, I gotta come back. I gotta come back in the majors, take my lead tape king crown back. He needs more lead tape than that.
I don't know.
Scott, but it's cool to see that much.
I'm about to say,
tape. Come on. Completely covered. Back cavity's completely covered on the 50.
Complete. And then the putter is super interesting. It's a heel shafted, as a lot of people refer to it as like the 8802 style from Wilson back in the day, or Odyssey always called it the number 9, that shape. Or I think they called this one the number 8. A little bit smaller, but the heel shafted blade, absolute ton of toe hang, just straight down to the floor. And his is interesting because it's got two different, you can see if you look at the photos, it's got two weights, one on the toe, one on the heel. Very interesting that I read, I think, your article on golfregrets.com. Heel one's aluminum, toe one's tungsten for even more of that toe flow through the stroke.
Yeah.
Which is
Greg just briefly talked to Phil. So Greg was shooting photos of the putter, and Phil comes over to him. He's like, "You want some insight on that?" And it's like, "Yeah, obviously. Like, let's hear what you got to say." So yeah, he's like, "We put an aluminum plug in the heel, tungsten in the toe," and he's like, the thought process there is just get that CG off the hosel and more towards the center of the putter, because especially with that 8802 style blade, the heel section of those putters is super heavy. So just offsetting that a little bit kind of keeps the putter a little bit more stable. He's got the long 17-inch super stroke grip on there with the fat grip. So definitely a different putter than he used, throughout most of his career. I think this was something that he was experimenting with back in, I think it was 2021, where he first started testing this putter out. I don't think that he put it in play immediately at that time. But going through some of the Getty photos just from the LIV events, it looks like he's played it at least recently. I don't know how far back this putter goes, but relatively new, even though it's still that 8802 style Odyssey putter, just with, a little more modern engineering and intuition thrown in there. Phil's always got something going on, and he's always got a reason for it, which us gearheads, we love. So that's why we tune into Phil's What's in the Bag every time.
Yeah. It's also be interesting to see if we see next year at retail a lot of these taller counterbalance putters coming back.
So many
because it seems like on tour, on tour, it's amazing how many guys are putting these putters in play. Phil's got the one, Ricky, and I remember seeing a couple others in these What's in the Bags that these guys are going with the big, the taller counterbalance putter again, which was hot a few years ago, and then it kind of went away, and now we're seeing it kind of pop back up. So retail next year, you might be able to get yourself a counterbalance putter again.
I would not be surprised to see this Versa come back with a longer grip option.
The Jailbird. Yeah.
Ricky like moves the needle out on tour. There are so many guys who were like, yeah, I saw Ricky going with it, so I put 17-inch on mine and I liked it. Like just kind of just random PGA Tour guys that you run into, you see they're testing something. It's like, why are you testing it? It's like, oh, Ricky. Like we thought Ricky moved the needle so much in the equipment world, but he really does. And there's something to it. There's something to it too.
Yeah.
I picked up, I don't even know who the putter was for, but I picked up, one of the reps was going to give it to a player, and he was like, check this out. And I was trying it, and I was like, that actually does feel really stable. And it was like nearly identical to a Ricky Fowler putter. It wasn't the same company, but it had the heavy mallet, rounded kind of look with the long grip on it. And I was like, man, there might be something to this. Because you have so much room to kind of figure out where your arms need to fall. And then you got that counterbalance. It's just like, once you get it started, it just swings and it feels like it's staying on the line. Takes that right wrist out of it, which, for us yippers, we know that the right wrist is the true issue. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of those go out at retail, and I would be very shocked if they didn't. I think it would be a mistake if some of these companies didn't at least have that as like kind of their stock upgrade offering within the system. But this podcast got a little long on us. Nothing, but that's okay because it was stacked with great content. It was an interesting week. Obviously, PGA Championship, awesome major venue that led to some different changes than we normally see. And then obviously meeting back with the LIV guys for the first time since they left, really. We haven't got a look at any of these guys' clubs up close. We've just seen photos and, whatever you can see from social media or TV. So it was definitely cool to see what was in their bags. And now it's time to just pop that popcorn, sit back and watch and see what happens. Because it was fireworks at the Masters, and I wouldn't be surprised to see fireworks again here. I'm going winning score.
That's right.
5 under is going to win by 1. Ooh. And then there'll be like a 3-way tie at 4. And then just like a couple other guys under par. Then that's it.
Interesting. So you're saying basically leaderboard's not going to move from today. 5 under is what's leading today.
I actually didn't even see the final leaderboard. They're at 5?
Well, but I want to say that it's like what is it? Cole's at 5, but I don't know if he finished this round. Yeah, he did. Oh no, he's still on 14, so he's got to come back out and play 15, 16, 17, 18 tomorrow, it looks like.
Well, I'm going to stick there. I do think the course is just going to keep growing teeth. They're going to, keep tucking these pins, challenge these guys, mess with the tee boxes, and who knows with the weather. I think it's supposed to get warmer. I don't know about wind, though. The wind out there, if it gets windy, it just makes it so difficult. Downwind, really tough to keep it in the fairway. Into the wind, you got 500-yard par 4s and 650-yard par 5s, so it's just long. And you got a couple par 3s that, 230 par 3 into a 30-mile-per-hour breeze. Things become interesting.
Yeah.
So I do think like a 4, 5, 6 under range will be the winner. Watch it go to like 20, and I'm completely wrong. But that was my feel. That was my feel out there.
20.
And that's kind of what some of the players were saying too. That it's just really hard to make enough birdies to go low, and there's bogeys looming on literally every single hole. There's no easy hole to make an easy par. I think like the 14th hole is 320 yards. So I guess if you go 8 iron, you could probably get yourself an easy par there. But other than that, birdies just aren't easy to come by.
No, it'll be a test, that's for sure. So I don't know. I think they'll go. I think if the weather gets a little warmer and all that, I think they go a little lower. I'm going to put it at 8.
Okay,
as the total.
All right, we got ourselves a bet.
So
it's like Price is Right.
All right.
All right,
that's right.
That was fun. We'll we'll let the listeners go now. We kept them for long enough, but had some fun. Enjoy yourself. The second major of the year, PGA Championship. Enjoy Oak Hill. I did get myself a hat. I love the Acorn logo.
That looks pretty nice.
For it. All right, Nutson. That was Two Guys Talking Golf, and we'll see you next week.